Hi everyone. Welcome to this video dedicated to the legendary Messerschmitt Bf 109 G6, one of the most iconic fighter aircraft of World War II. In this presentation, we showcase 3 striking paint schemes created for the Bf 109 G6. Among them is the artistic Germaneagel design, inspired by the bold motifs of the Germaneagel. The other 2 are historically accurate camouflage patterns based on aircraft flown by Luftwaffe aces during the Second World War. These textures and color schemes are ideal for scale modelers, diorama creators, and aviation enthusiasts who want to bring their builds to life with realistic or artistic flair. They can also be used to texture and paint 3D models in software such as Blender, 3ds Max, or Maya, offering high-quality assets for both personal and professional projects. Whether you're customizing aircraft in games like War Thunder, Arma 3, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, or X-Plane, or developing your own flight sim or military game using engines like Unity, Unreal Engine, or Godot, these camouflage maps provide the detail and authenticity to elevate your project. Let's take a closer look at each of these paint schemes and see how they bring this legendary fighter to life. Throughout history, the eagle has stood as a powerful symbol of strength, speed, and dominance. In German military tradition, the eagle, or Reichsadler, was more than just an emblem. It represented authority, heritage, and aerial superiority. These motifs were not only decorative, they conveyed identity, morale, and pride within fighter squadrons. Pilots and ground crews frequently adorned aircraft with stylized eagles, wings, and talons, merging tradition with modern warfare. These symbols linked the pilots to a long legacy of military valor and visually projected the might of the Luftwaffe. In this context, the eagle-themed paint scheme featured in our video, the artistic Germaneagel, draws inspiration from those historic designs. It reimagines the fierce beauty of the eagle through contemporary artistry, while paying homage to the visual language of the era. One of the most iconic paint schemes featured on the Messerschmitt Bf 109 G6 is that of Major Hermann Graf, a legendary Luftwaffe fighter ace of World War II. Graf served with distinction on both the Eastern and Western fronts, and he holds a remarkable place in aviation history as the first pilot ever to claim over 200 aerial victories. Over the course of approximately 830 combat missions, he was credited with a total of 212 confirmed kills. But beyond the battlefield, there's an intriguing side to his story that connects to this very aircraft and the man behind the controls. Before the war, Hermann Graf was a passionate footballer. His athletic background, especially as a forward, a position requiring fast reflexes, spatial awareness, and strategic thinking, may have played a role in shaping his unique style of aerial combat. The skills he honed on the football field likely translated into an uncanny ability to read the battlefield, make split-second decisions, and maneuver with precision in the skies. When Graf was offered command of the renowned Jägergeschwader 52, he agreed, but only on one condition, that his entire football team, known as the Roten Jäger or Red Hunters, would come with him. His love for teamwork and camaraderie extended from the ground to the air, forming a close-knit unit that excelled not only through skill but through trust and cohesion. The camouflage pattern of Hermann Graf's Bf 109 G6 reflects both personal flair and military pride, a symbol of one of the war's most formidable fighter aces, whose background in sport and combat merged into an extraordinary legacy. Among the most remarkable stories tied to the Messerschmitt Bf 109 G6 is that of Franz Stigler, a German fighter ace whose aircraft bore the number Yellow 2. Oberleutnant Ludwig Franz Stigler served as a Luftwaffe pilot across multiple fronts, from the deserts of North Africa to the skies over war-torn Europe. He flew both the propeller-driven Bf-109 and the advanced, jet-powered Me-262, serving in elite units like Jagdgeschwader 27 and the famed jet squadron Jagdverband 44 under General Adolf Galland. Stigler was credited with between 28 and 30 aerial victories during the war. But what truly set him apart was not the number of kills, but one act of honor that became one of the most extraordinary moments in aviation history. On December 28, 1943, Stigler took to the skies and had already shot down 2 American B-17 bombers earlier that day. Soon after, he spotted another, a severely damaged flying fortress limping back toward England. Its name was Ye Old Pup, and it was piloted by Charles "Charlie" Brown, a young American officer on his first combat mission. Stigler approached the crippled aircraft in his Bf-109 G-6, lining up to deliver the final blow. But something stopped him. He noticed that the tail gunner hadn't moved his guns to fire. The bomber's fuselage was riddled with holes, one engine was out, another sputtering, and the crew was clearly in a desperate state, tending to wounded comrades amid the wreckage. Peering into the battered bomber, Stigler saw humanity, not enemies. In that moment, he remembered the words of his commanding officer, Gustav Rudel. "If I ever hear of any of you shooting at a man in a parachute, I'll shoot you myself." To Stigler, attacking this helpless bomber would be no different. As he later said, it would have been the same as shooting at a parachute. Instead of firing, he made a bold decision. He flew alongside the B-17 and tried to signal Brown to land in neutral Sweden for safety. But Brown, unaware of the gesture, continued toward England. Realizing this, Stigler did something unheard of. He escorted the American bomber across Germany, flying wingtip to wingtip. He protected it from German flak guns, which held their fire, recognizing his aircraft, and guided it safely to the North Sea. Once over the water, Stigler saluted the American pilot, peeled away, and returned to base, never reporting the incident. The encounter remained unknown to the world until decades later, when Brown and Stigler were reunited in the 1990s, not as enemies, but as friends. What began as an act of mercy in wartime became a lifelong bond of peace. Franz Stigler's Bf-109 G6 Yellow II thus carries not only the marks of combat, but the spirit of honor, humanity, and a moment where a pilot chose compassion over destruction. Thanks for watching.